Wow, you actually kept an idea going. Hello, Daniel. It's your younger self, and this is our battle together against dementia. I'm actually pretty surprised that I'm actually doing a episode 2. I have so many projects or ideas in my head, and I always forget them. I got this one earlier this morning when I showered, and it's comes to mind is the first house that your parents, Ron and Penny, bought. It's off Victoria. It was behind St. Joe's Catholic Church, and it's the very first house your parents bought. Very small, but you see it even today. You pass it all the time, and it's 2020 if you didn't know. Just trust me on this if you forgot this. And I may be corrected a little bit this because your mother may leave a comment or something if comments are around still in the future. You live behind the church, super small house with a porch in the front of the house that you could sit on and be shaded. And that might be why you like houses with porches. You don't have one now. Lot was big. You would ride your big wheel as far as the church and back. That's as far as you can go up the street into the church and back. But it was kind of scary for you to ride to the church because behind the statue that was on the front of the church, which sat up, 50 feet high or something like that, there was a beehive. And you would ride around the circle and try to scram the heck out of there because you didn't want to get stung. You were the second house from the church, but now you're the first house because the church bought the house right next to it, and they just made it a parking lot. One year you got a Night Rider little push vehicle that used to pedal and had kit and the light in the front that went back and forth and was like, Michael. I think you broke it in one day or something like that, and your parents took it back. Also, I remember they got you a big old like G.I. Joe F-14 jet that you really liked, and they took that back too. He-Man and Star Wars were the two main focuses when it came to playing in the dirt and toys. You could thank your mom, Penny, for all the dang Star Wars stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of Star Wars buried in the back and front yard. And He-Man would come from your grandma. There used to be a Mattel store in the City of Industry, and I think she used to get them there directly, the factory store or whatever. And you literally had the entire freaking collection. Skeletor, He-Man, all those fools. Your best friend was across the street. His name was Danny. So that's why you always go for Daniel. Everybody knows you as Daniel because your friend was named Danny. So when people call you Danny, it kind of feels weird because you don't identify it with it. Your name's Daniel. He had a sister who was like a teenager when you were young. This is like when you're like probably 5. You went to kindergarten there. Sister named Yvette. You liked her. I don't know why. Maybe just because it was a girl. I have no idea. But she was a teenager and you're 5 years old. You went to Del Valle Elementary. And that's when the Voyager went up and exploded. You were first grade watching it. And you saw your teacher crying, and I really didn't understand what happened, but we were watching it. Back then, you could get spanked at school. I remember the trays when you used to go to lunch. They weren't styrofoam. They're actually like lunch trays. We had a dog named Ziggy, who was smart as heck, a little bit too smart for his own good because he always used to run the streets. He was a smart dog. He always used to tie a bandana around his neck. Mom and Dad did too. And then one day you got hit by a car. And I remember you crying to your mom and dad. And your mom told you, I don't even remember where I was at. Oh, that's your daughter, by the way. You take your videos serious. Anyways, Ziggy died, and you were bawling and crying and crying and crying, and your mom told you, don't use up all your tears, because you might need them for someone very important in the future. I've used a lot of those tears, not all of them. I'm still saving some for very important people in the future. You had a bird named Jaws, which we already spoke about, but I didn't say how we caught him. We caught him at a pool. There's a rec center across the street at the park. You used to break dance at. You collected a lot of garbage pail kids. Traded them as much as possible. A lot of garbage pail kids. And put them all over the place. You used to get them at a little market right down the street. You put like a quarter in, slam it in, pull it out. Your friend across the street, Danny, had an uncle. I don't remember his name. I think his name was Uncle Danny. He had a little nub. He didn't have a full arm. And he used to tickle you and your friend Danny so hard that it hurt. It wasn't even fun. So we tried to run away from him as much as possible. You had a tortoise. I don't know what happened to it. An orange tree. And your dad and uncle used to work out in the backyard all the time. That's all they did. You're lucky because your grandma and grandpa on both sides only lived less than like a mile and a half away. I think that's it about Victoria. So, I'm trying to retain it all. I don't want these videos to be too long because you might forget what I told you in the beginning of the video once you get to the end. So, there's Victoria, the house behind the church.